Hi guys, my name is Isabella, and what would I like? I forgot what I wanted to tell you. Oh, right, I remember. The pen. I have a pen, but it's not just a pen, it's a magic pen. It does all my homework for me. Jealous, right? If you were me right now, it might or might not be you, but since it's not you, it's me, which means I'm where I belong, where I'm supposed to be, right? Confused? So am I. Now, my pen, it's a real charmer. It's golden in color. I found it in a trash can. Don't ask me why I went in there, I just went in, that's all, and I found it. I brought it home, sat down to do my homework, and I realized I wasn't doing it. I had formulas to solve, and I couldn't digest them. Oh, I'm sorry about the hiccuping. I told you I don't dig it. Well, there you go. I was agonizing for a long time, and then I got up abruptly and sat on the bed. I figured it out. I've got to get some sleep. And I immediately lay down and snored. My mother always said that sleep was the best solution to all problems, and I decided to take her advice. Who knows? Maybe I would think of something brilliant. I woke up the same morning. I didn't realize how I'd slept through the night since the night before, but the funny thing was, I also overslept. I'm late, I shouted and got ready. When I got to school, I was greeted by my friend Louise. Hi, let me cheat. I didn't do the math homework. I fell asleep. Oh man, if they check me, it'll be my second F in a row. I'll get detention again and I don't want to go. If I get tested, they'll do the same thing so we can sit together. Don't worry. Okay. Then I took out my textbook and notebook and the teacher came up to me. Well, hello girls, let's check your homework. Isabella, is this your notebook? Yes, it is, but... Let me see then. So. She opened the notebook, and I already imagined her giving me an F and leaving me behind. Yeah, good for you, good solution. It's creative, but it's done right. I was freaking out, and before I could even say a word, she'd given me an A, and then she took out Lou's notebook. Louise, you're supposed to be friends. You could take a cue from Isabella. This is your second F in a row, you know? I'll see you after school. What? Yes, and then I have to talk to your mother about your grades. The teacher laughed, Louise blushed, and I went pale. So you just crammed? You didn't let me cheat because you were sorry? How am I supposed to call you my friend after that? It wasn't me, I swear to you, I didn't do it. That wasn't my homework. Do you mean somebody did your homework for you in your notebook? In your handwriting? It sounds weird, but bullshit. If you didn't want to share with me, you could have told me. But I didn't. Quiet, please, girls. Louise didn't talk to me all day. She had to stay behind after school, and I went home. The first thing I asked my mom was if she did my math homework, but no one at home even knew I had any homework. It was more than a little weird. I even sat down at the table myself and tried to solve the problem, but I couldn't do it. That's just mega weird, I said, and then I decided to leave a pen on the table, another math homework assignment that I knew nothing about there, and went to bed. When I woke up, I found it was done again. What? I ran to my mom and asked if anyone had been in my room, but my mom shook her head. Then I quickly got ready and ran to school. I had a hunch. A pouting Louise still wasn't talking to me. I took her by the hand and led her behind the school. What do you want? I swear to you, there's something strange going on. What do you mean? You've known me since the first grade, right? Yeah. You know, I've never been good at math. Why would I understand math if I haven't solved anything ever? So someone's helping you? Exactly. Who? Don't laugh, but I think it's this. I took out my pen and showed it to her. Louise took it in her hands, laughed, and then said, I understand you're ashamed of me, but couldn't you think of something more plausible? Don't laugh, I warned you. Wait, are you telling me this pen is doing your homework for you while you're sleeping? Yes, it's weird, I know, but when I wake up, it's done. And the ink is the same, black, like in this pen. I don't have black ink at home anymore. I even asked my parents. Stop joking. I'm not laughing anymore. Let me prove it to you. How? Come over to my house for a sleepover. So she did. I arranged our books and notebooks, and I went to bed with Louise. In the morning, the homework was ready, in different handwriting. How did this happen? That's what I mean. But then it turned out that it worked not only on math, but in all subjects. Lou would give me her homework, and the pen would do everything for us too. We began to get good grades. True, we could only hope that we would not be asked verbally, but something else happened. The teacher nominated me for the Math Olympiad. She said that I was doing so well, that I had a great approach to problem solving, and she also knew that Louise was cheating off me. I was so embarrassed. I said no right away, but the teacher wouldn't even listen. She said she'd already signed me up, so I was confronted with the fact. It was so fucking unexpected. Just a couple of days before the Olympiad, I got sick. My mom treated me at home as a matter of urgency to get me to participate. She was so happy when she heard that her daughter was good at something. So I decided to lay at home for a couple of days. Lou came to see me and told me that it was the same at school. And then she asked me when I was coming back. I don't know, I'm sick. Listen, here's the thing. Could you give me the pen? I have an exam coming up. Remember the one I failed in English? Yeah, but I have the Olympiad tomorrow. I know, so I'll take it in the morning and you'll have the Olympiad in the afternoon. We'll make it. By the time you get there, I'll be done and I'll bring it out to you in the hallway. Are you sure? Yeah. Look, I'm taking a big risk with this. Got it. Thank you very much. Louise took the pen and left. I was really worried, but I didn't think anything bad would happen. We would be in the same school, just on different floors. I had nightmares all night and didn't sleep well. In the morning, I woke up, ate, drank a heavy dose of medicine, and my mother took me to school. I was like a sleepy fly, slow and lethargic. The teacher was concerned but asked me to hold out for literally 40 minutes. There was no choice. I took on the role of a superhero and decided to stop panicking. The first thing I did was go to Lou's floor and wait for her in the hallway, but she didn't come. I called her, and she was dropping me. Then I looked inside, and the committee looked at me, and I saw Louise sitting still doing her work. Excuse me, can I get something? Excuse me? Young lady, there's an exam going on here. Go out and close the door. But it's very important. Get out. Lou crossed her arms like, sorry, and looked guilty. That didn't make me feel any better. I was fucking knocked over. Then the director came for me and asked me to come down to the Olympiad. I could feel the pill starting to work. The main thing is not to fall asleep. I went inside, they gave me the assignment, and I sat down. I was more sleepy than ever. I knew that I could not cope, not without my pen, and I think I passed out, but I'm not sure. When I came to, I was in the hallway. My mother was sitting next to me, and Lou was crying. What happened? I failed. Your pen didn't work. How didn't it work? Mom, did I fail too? You took first place and you did brilliantly. How? First you fell asleep on the chair, and then you started solving problems and answering questions as if you were working. Here, I filmed it all on video. As it turned out, I was a total lunatic. Only a lunatic of genius. And it wasn't the pen. I was falling asleep and waking up doing lessons in my sleep, because in my dreams, I was super smart and cool. Lou and I were freaking out. My first place brought me fame in school, good grades, and it also gave me an extra reason to nap. So far, only the people closest to me know about this secret. Now my neurologist and I are working on how to combine, or rather separate, these two states, so that I can be more productive during the day as well.
Hello everyone, my name's Sandy. Now I'll tell you one of the stories of my life. I really hope you enjoy it. In the meantime, listen and watch. Don't forget to write your opinion in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and put likes. Imagine the family you live in now, and everything seems to be perfect. There's a father, mother, sister, and you, and everything seems to be as it should be, only you do not leave that feeling of anxiety. Suddenly, you feel that this is not exactly what you need, or rather, as if it is all someone else's, but not your life. So it was with me. I spent a lot of time thinking about my family, watching from the outside, and the more I lived in it, the more I doubted. Is it really mine at all? Yes, at first you can call it strange, like, what kind of nonsense? How can a family be a stranger? But would you be very surprised if I say that yes, it can? And now, just about this will be discussed. I'll tell you about what it means to feel out of place as well as how it is sometimes important to listen to your own feelings. That day, I opened my eyes and felt a terrible pain in my body. There were some people nearby. At first, I didn't immediately understand where I was, and only then a man in a uniform came up to me. He said that he was a doctor and that I had an accident and was now in the hospital. As soon as I wanted to get up, I was immediately slowed down. They told me not to worry, and who are you? I asked a man and a woman I didn't know. They looked at each other in surprise and asked, "Don't you remember us?" But I really didn't remember them. I just remembered my name, something like what I was, but I didn't remember anything else. The woman wept bitterly and then went off to talk to the doctor about something. Later, I was told that I had injured my head, and because of this, I now have problems with my memory. But there's hope that it will return. You just have to wait. Those two introduced themselves as my parents, and I even felt uneasy. It's weird not to remember my parents. I lay there for many days, and then they let me go home. As soon as I opened the door, I heard of cheers, "Sandy! Finally you're home!" And a girl ran at me. She was younger than me. She immediately started kissing me and hugging me, but I couldn't remember her. "This is your little sister. Her name is Zoe," my mother had said. I smiled faintly and asked to be shown my room. As soon as I got in there, I closed the door behind me and I started looking at it. It all seemed so strange. Why did I choose this room and put the bed by the window? I don't like sleeping by the window. And this ugly table and lamp. Why did I love all of this before? I immediately began to make a rearrangement. My parents came in running to the noise. When they saw this, they forbade me to lift heavy things, and my father said that he would do everything himself. We immediately did everything as it was more convenient for me. The room looked better now. A couple of hours later, when I finished everything, took a shower and sat in front of the mirror. I was horrified. I just had terrible hair. I had looked at myself and couldn't figure out what was wrong. Why am I so uneasy? And when I looked in the mirror, I suddenly felt pain. The seam of my forehead hurt, which I had hit during the accident. It was terrible, a sharp flash of memory. I was in the back seat of the car. Screams. My mother was sitting in front of me, and she screamed and told me to duck. I closed my eyes and, "Sandy, is everything all right?" My mom said. I jumped out of fear, and then I asked, "You were with me too. And you're all right." My mother hesitated a little, paused, and then said that by a miracle everything was fine, and then she invited me to dinner. There were a lot of goodies on the table, and they poured me an orange juice. By the way, I couldn't stand it. I always drank only cherry. I asked for water, and I didn't mention it. After dinner, I went to my room to sleep. All night I dreamed about the moment with the accident, and I screamed in my sleep. I didn't see my mother's face, I just heard her voice, and it was different. It seemed strange. The next day, I asked if I went to school, and my mom said that Zoe and I went together. At school, everything was no less strange. Almost no one knew me, and Zoe said that I had recently transferred. Why, she did not say. All these things bothered me, and I thought more and more about my vision of the accident, so it took about 6 months. At first, I thought it was me, my condition, my experience of the accident, but then something happened. One day, Zoe didn't go to school with me, so I went alone. I decided to take a different route. I wanted to take a little walk. On my way to class, I wandered into a street that looked familiar. "Sandy, is that you?" a girl asked me. She ran up to me and started kissing me, hugging me, and then I realized I didn't recognize her. I explained about the memory problems, but her face seemed like that, as if I knew her. "I'm your best friend, Mary. Don't you remember me?" She asked, but my mom said I didn't have any friends, just Zoe. She started asking me how I was doing, how I was feeling, and then she asked me why I left home. "I didn't leave. I live where I lived," I said. "Your house was recently sold. I'm sorry about your family," she told me. Just as I was about to ask a question, Zoe was there. She took my hand and ran, saying we were late. Mary was left behind, and we didn't even say goodbye. I had more questions. I didn't know what to do. At dinner that night, I asked my mother about the accident, but she said that she didn't want to remember it. "But you were there. How did you not get hurt?" "I remember the truck coming our way." I shouted, and my mother got angry. She slammed on the table and shouted back, "Aren't you glad that I'm all right?" I replied that I just wanted to understand what happened, to which my father said that he would stop living in the past. It stung me, and I got angry. I said everything I thought. "What are my photos?" I asked them. They were surprised and asked what kind of photos. I explained that there were only photos of Zoe and not just of me everywhere in the house. My mother said that when they had been lost in the move. When asked why I don't have friends, she said that I'm not sociable. And when I asked why I don't really have things on my size in my closet, nasty floral wallpaper, why there's no music on my computer, and my mother said that I did it myself. It all seemed so strange, and I couldn't calm down. I screamed as if something had possessed me. And then I said I didn't feel like they were my family, and I got slapped on the face by my mom. I started to cry, and then I ran into the room. My mother ran after me, and on the way, I slipped and fell on my head on the floor. The sharp memories hit me like a slap in my mother's face. I was driving in the car with my mother. We were listening to music loudly, and then a truck suddenly rushed at us. Our car skidded in the snow, and the only thing my mother said to me was, "Close your eyes." And suddenly I saw her. I saw my mother's face. It was different, or rather, it was a different person. I opened my eyes abruptly and saw a stranger standing over me. It was definitely not my family. I sat down and asked, looking into my mother's eyes, "Where's my mother?" She almost fainted from this question, but now everything was coming together. Now I knew for sure that this was not my family, but why did they lie to me? Dad calmed me down, sat me on the couch, and they told me I was right. From their words, I learned that my mother was killed in that accident, and I was left alone. This family is my mother's best friends, and my mother's request was that they take care of me. Understood that you would not accept us, and that you would want to live like this now, that you would miss her. And when the doctor said that you had lost your memory, I suddenly thought, why don't we? And she didn't finish, and I interrupted her. Why don't you lie to me? My mother stood up for me. He said that they wanted what was best for me. They wanted me to not be hurt, and they wanted me to start a new life. At first, I hated them so much. I felt cheated. I wanted to cry. I hadn't spoken to them in days, and then my fake mom invited me for a ride. She took me to my mother's cemetery, where I finally saw her face in the photo. I cried so hard, and then I was given a look at her message, her last words before she died. She asked me to be strong, to live with her friends, and she said she loved me. And after that, I realized that I should be grateful to this family for not leaving me alone. We've been living closer together ever since. I miss my mom so much, but she asked me to move on.